Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know me, my name is Butterfield. I'm a comedian here in Australia and I've been on YouTube for the past 5 years. I guess you could say my style of stand-up is one where I don't pull any punches. I don't censor myself. I really do believe that you can do any type of joke about any subject on stage as long as it's funny. And over the past 10 years of doing stand-up, I believe I have learned how to do that correctly. But there's a lot of people that would disagree. And I've been waiting to make this video for the past couple of months. And today, we're going to go deep into something that honestly will shock you. Because it shocked me. I couldn't believe what I was reading. This is the most full-on thing to happen in my career, and I have never heard of anything like it before. But before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, grab these Cancel Isaac Butterfield t-shirts. They're absolutely gorgeous, because you know what? There's a big group of people that really don't like me a lot of the time, and they always want to cancel me. So let's just capitalize on that, shall we? Head to isaacbutterfield.shop and grab them now. They're only available for the next week, so go and grab them. The beautiful thing about stand-up is you can say anything you want on stage. And people in the crowd have come along to that show to watch you. They enter into a contract where they know the things that you're saying on stage didn't really happen, you don't mean, and you're only saying them so that they will laugh. And after that laughter dissipates, it's forgotten about. You move on with your life and the show. I really love comedy and I thoroughly enjoy doing stand-up. I've been able to travel the world. I've actually got an American tour, which is about to be announced in September, which is going to be fantastic, so stick around for those dates. But what I have learned is that so many people are so greatly offended by jokes on stage, jokes that the comedian doesn't necessarily mean at all and doesn't actually believe, not even slightly. They are so offended by them that they will protest, that they will send death threats, that they will be so upset about that it will ruin their day. There are people out there who are that weak. It is ridiculous. Just the other week, Australian comedian Lewis Spears faced a protest after he made jokes about the Dalai Lama because Lewis said that the Dalai Lama was being a bit of a creep when he's told a child that he'd suck his tongue. What a weird thing to say, Lewis. Why do you think that's creepy? I think you're the problem. We've even seen comedians sued by people they've made fun of, but never have I ever seen a comedian anywhere in the world be brought before the Human Rights Commission because of a joke. Yeah, that's what this video is about. I've never seen it. I've never seen a comedian brought before a commission that is supposed to protect, you guessed it, human rights. I'd never seen it until I opened an envelope that appeared at my front door. On the front of that A4 envelope was a logo. It said the Queensland Human Rights Commission. Now, I live in New South Wales. I'm not even in Queensland, but apparently their jurisdiction is the whole country, so here we are. Inside of that envelope was a decree from these people that I had to appear in front of the Queensland Human Rights Commission because of a joke that I told. As soon as I went to the front door and my postman gave me this, he's a good guy, postman, shout out. He gave me this envelope. My heart sank a little bit because I knew it was pretty official. I was like, am I being sued? What is going on here? I'm about to have a baby. I don't really need this extra stress. But I just sort of took it inside and read it. And as I was reading it, I just couldn't believe what I was reading. As I went through page by page, you know, and I've got no legal experience or anything like that, I was just reading going, are they allowed to do this? Is this real? So basically, the Human Rights Commission had received a complaint, not from a company, not from a group, not from a policeman or a lawyer. They had received a complaint from one person. And that is enough that I have to go and appear in front of them. One person didn't like a joke, and then on the 20th of April at 9:30, I had to be there to appear in a conciliation conference. That one person had enough power to compel a comedian who told a joke that they didn't like to go in front of a commission of people and work it out. They're jokes. Like, God, like, this is This is madness. What a position our country is in that a comedian can't even tell jokes without being pulled in front of a government body. I know this is sort of funny. People are watching this going,
oh my God, he offended the snowflake so much.
but this is real life. I'm being dragged in front of the Human Rights Commission. That's not what I started doing stand-up for. I tell jokes to make people laugh, and I don't give a shit if you're offended, but fuck me. What is wrong with you that you are so offended that you need to take it to this almighty commission that could compel anyone to drop whatever they're fucking doing and come and stand in front of you so you can feel better about it? I don't even know what to say about this. Like, it's still so raw and fresh in my mind, and I'm fucking pissed off about it. Not even because it's just happening, right? I'm just pissed off that this is the precedent that they're setting. That one person can go and complain, and then all of a sudden that person, no matter who they are, has to drop everything and go to some fucking conference so you can work it out. There's nothing to work out. I will say this, if I was a politician or I was, a CEO of a business and I said something that was, offensive, then yeah, sure, maybe the Human Rights Commission might need to be involved, right? If I said it to an employee or whatever, maybe, right? Case by case. But not a comedian, mate. Does that mean any comedian in any part of the world can be complained against now because they said something that offended you? Wait until you hear what the actual complaint said. It's amazing. But before I get to that, some context. Last year I toured Australia. It was the first time since COVID that I was back out doing shows. It was wonderful. Got back out to the people and perform. It was just fantastic. I had a whole new show, and the show had a few jokes in it that were designed to be very offensive. But during the tour, I had no issues with any of those jokes at all. That was until the tour ended and I filmed one of my shows in Perth. I posted some of the clips onto TikTok. The joke that was posted onto TikTok was one about cancel culture and how you can trigger cancel culture to come for you. And the jokes themselves were about Aboriginal people. And in that section of jokes, or in that bit, I went through the 5, in my opinion, most offensive jokes that I had written about Aboriginal people. Now bear in mind, I wrote jokes about everyone. One of the jokes that preceded this was about white people in Bali dying in the Bali bombing, okay? So it's not just people who happen to have dark skin that I go after. It is everyone. The whole point of the bit is to build something called the cancel culture cake. At the bottom, it's a nice base layer. It's not too bad. Everyone can get around it. It's a bit of a clever joke. And then eventually, layer by layer, it gets worse and worse until I get to the point where I say, fuck, I'm such a fucking asshole. Why don't you just bloody watch it? That's probably easier, okay? This is me in front of 1,500 people in Perth.
You're not allowed to tell Aboriginal jokes.
No, you're not allowed, okay? Jokes are real and they hurt people's feelings. Go on, me.
So I thought, let's try and get me cancelled one more time. All right? Let's start off real slow, all right? Let's move our way into it. Like when you're skipping at school, you got to warm up, all right? Recently, I recently gave my grandmother a frangipani for her birthday. Delicious, right? Wonderful, fantastic. She grabbed it. She said, this is great. I love frangipani trees. They're wonderful, but it's a bit heavy. She said, can you take it? And I said, sure. Where do you want me to put it, Gran? She said, can you put it at the back in the garden? I said, Gran, where in the garden? She said, can you put it next to the natives? I said, Gran, they're First Nations people, all right? And why are they in your shed? It's so easy to write Aboriginal jokes. They write themselves. The most Aboriginal word in the world, corroboree, has the word robbery in it. White people in Australia never really culturally appropriated Aboriginal culture because there's nothing that we really wanted except for the kids. Let's be honest, we never looked at tapping sticks and thought, oh fuck, we need those. I thought I'd never seen Aboriginal pornography before. And on top of that, I thought I'd never seen an Aboriginal pornographic magazine. It turns out I have. It's just known as a different name, National Geographic magazine, all right? One more. This is the piece de resistance. Have you ever seen a transgender Aboriginal? Of course you haven't. They're hard to spot because the ladies already look like blokes. There you go.
So that's it, okay? Jokes that are designed to be offensive, quick, short, sharp, silly little jokes, right? Believe it or not, I don't believe them, That's not how I actually think about Aboriginal people at all. Now, once I posted that joke, the feedback was pretty quick, all right? Originally, it was just all people who had seen my stuff before. They thought, that's pretty funny, whatever. But then, some people got upset. Then a lot more people got upset. I would have received at least 1,000 death threats that night. Even more threats of violence. Like, just absolute madness. How quickly people, just because they're offended, turn to violence. I even had a guy at a cafe say he was going to bash me. Like, really? Really? You don't understand comedy to the extent that you want to fight someone because they said something that you find offensive. Probably the one joke that people found the most offensive was about the stolen generation. Now, if you're not familiar with the stolen generation, it was basically when the Australian government went into Aboriginal homes and stole the children, kidnapped them, right, out of their homes and put them with white families because they thought it would, I don't know, help them. Crazy, evil, bad, terrible. One of the worst things that's ever happened in this country. But does that mean you can't joke about it? No, mate. Like, you got to joke about everything. That's it. That's my argument. So now I'll read you the actual complaint filed. But before I do, this was also one of the jokes that was noted along with the other jokes that the person didn't like.
It's hard in the comedy industry for a white guy, right? There's too many white guys in the comedy world, apparently. I heard that as a young comic. I thought, how am I going to do this? I wish that I had something wrong with me, like I was a woman or black. And
again, it's a stupid, silly joke. It's like a jump scene in a horror film. You don't see it coming, and that's why you react to it, right? That's why I like those type of jokes. They're there for a reason. They're there structurally, right? To go from one bit, a bigger bit, to another bit. Anyway, whatever. Okay, so here's the complaint, and I'll keep the person's name private. Okay, so here's the questions. I asked questions to it. Have you been sexually harassed? No. Okay, I'm off to a good start. Congratulations. Do you feel you have been victimised? No. Okay, that's good, I guess. Are you making a complaint about public vilification on the basis of race, religion, sexual identity, sexuality, or gender identity? Yes. Okay, great. So if this Human Rights Commission finds that I am in the wrong, as I said before, they set a precedent that any comedian in this country and perhaps other countries could very well... I don't even know what happens here if I'm found in the wrong. Like, no one's explained that to me. If they do find me in the wrong, then they can be brought before this commission in trouble. Their name is just sort of thrown through the mud. They're a piece of shit. They're a racist, all that type of stuff, just because of a joke. So that is the precedent that we're tiptoeing around here. So here's another question. Is this a court? It's actually a tribunal. I don't know the difference between tribunals and courts, and I think that's why I titled the video the way I did. At least originally I titled it about going to court. I just didn't think going to tribunal had the same ring to it. Are you complaining about a breach in your human rights by a public entity or someone who works for a public entity? Yes. Please indicate which of your human rights listed below have been breached. Recognition and equality before the law, cultural rights, generally cultural for Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islanders people, protection of families and children. Provide details starting with the first event and then proceeding to the second and subsequent events. Tell us what happened. All right, shall we? Isaac Butterfield is a comedian who began his tour The New Normal in early 2022, where he visited Mackay, Townsville, Cairns, Warrnambool, etc, 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 etc. Isaac Butterfield is a well-known comedian. They put comedian in fucking quotation marks. How rude. On his social media accounts. On the 27th of January 2023, the day after Survival Day to many Australian people, Australia Day, of which I'm a proponent of moving the date, just so you know, Isaac Butterfield posted a video on his Instagram social media page with a vilification 1-minute rant. No, it was a stand-up bit, but okay. This was brought to my attention by a friend of mine who felt victimized by Isaac's comments and wanted to share this with me. Some of the comments he made were, because this is always terrible when they put fucking stand-up into just words on a page. White people in Australia never really culturally appropriated Aboriginal culture because there's nothing that we really wanted. Except for the kids. All right, yeah, it sounds fucking horrible. I get it. This is a clear reference to our stolen generation, which is a horrible event, but people make jokes about horrible events all the time. I continue. That's what they wrote. Isaac, I've never seen Aboriginal pornography before, and on top of that, I've never seen an Aboriginal pornographic magazine. Turns out I have. It's known as National Geographic magazine, etc., etc. After receiving public backlash, Isaac deleted his 1-minute video. It actually was taken down shortly after. On Saturday, the 4th of September, they must mean February, Isaac posted a new video with some context explaining that these discriminating comments are just jokes because it's a stand-up show. That's what happens there. Again, this was brought to my attention from a friend who had found these comments extremely traumatic, as do I. Isaac tries to justify these racial vilifications by claiming these are jokes, and if we don't like them, not to follow him. Sounds like a pretty standard thing to do. As an Aboriginal woman living somewhere, Isaac's actions and lack thereof understanding has made me feel extremely unsafe, vilified and discriminated against, all the essence of a joke. Okay? As my family and many others were a part of stolen generations, our trauma hasn't healed. The fact that his jokes, in quotation marks again, are out there for all to see makes me feel like I can't protect my daughters. From these kinds of racial vilifications and discriminations. They are not discriminations. This is crazy. To further add to my pain, my daughter obtained a video from TikTok that was sent to her via a classmate. That was this video.
That I had something wrong with me, like I was a woman or black. And
it's a small clip showing Isaac one of his performances, claiming that it's hard being a white comedian, etc., etc. Isaac Butterfield has been cancelled by Netflix in the past. That never happened. That was actually a marketing thing for my special that I released after making jokes about the Holocaust and insulting Jewish people. This happened after posting a video on his Instagram page on 24th of April 2019, which has since been pulled down. I added these to give you more context about the kind of person Isaac is, and I hope that with your help, Isaac Butterfield faces some repercussions and accountability for his actions. So there's the complaint itself. It's basically just saying you found the jokes offensive and you want someone to step in, which is like, mate, if everyone did that about every comedian that's upset them, then that's all human rights commissions all over the globe would ever do ever. But by far the best part of this, what outcome would you like to resolve your complaint? Apology and training. Well, I'm not going to apologize. Obviously, they're jokes. They're not real, they're pretend, I don't mean them. I'm not a horrible person that hates Aboriginal people at all. That is ridiculous, and I'm not going to go to training. That's also ridiculous. You could send me to training and you could teach me about all the horrible things that have happened to your people. Most of them I know about, and I feel horrible about them that they happened to you, but I'd still make the jokes because that's what comedians do. The events and tragedies that I'm joking about are horrendous, heinous, disgusting. But the jokes aren't the events. There is a massive difference. Huge. And I guess where does it end? What about this guy who told the joke about Jesus getting nailed on the cross?
Because I love Jesus. I love any man who can get nailed for 3 days straight and come back for more.
Should he be dragged in front of the Human Rights Commission because your religion has been attacked? Should he? Where does it end? Now, I didn't go to the conciliation conference. I didn't go to the tribunal because basically the day they wanted to have it was 2 days after my son was due to be born. He was born 2 weeks earlier, but you know, that was the whole reasoning for me. I just said, mate, I've got too much on. That's ridiculous, okay? Now, from that, it's not over. The person who made the complaint now has 28 days to make a written request to refer the complaint to the Queensland Civil and Administrative Tribunal or apply to the Commissioner for an extension of that time. If the complainant does not take either of these steps within 28 days, we will close our file and take no further action in relation to the complaint. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't know where this goes from here. So will I go to this administrative tribunal up in Queensland? Or will people just realise that comedians tell jokes that they definitely do not mean? Offensive humour is a style of humour. Deal with it. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you subscribe to find out what happens next, because I'm sure this is not the end of this story, and make sure you grab one of these Cancel Isaac Butterfield t-shirts to help fund my capitalist lifestyle. They are beautiful t-shirts. They're made by the best sweatshop workers in all the world, and head over to isaacbutterfield.shop for those. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I mean, you know, as I've said a million times, everybody is welcome at my shows, but I'm going to attack everybody. I don't care where you're from, what your culture is, what's wrong with you. I'm going to attack you, and that's just part of it. But in the same respect, I care about everybody, all right? I really do, and I really mean that. So be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. Big stinks. Toodle au revoir. Bye-bye.